Here we are at the start of another week, gang. The end of November, near enough. Monday the 29th of November 2021. A very hello to you and welcome to today's little chat show, boys and girls. Well, there's a new variant to deal with. I'm sure you've heard it on the news, dear. Coming out of South Africa. And I must say, old Boris has moved pretty quickly on this one, hasn't he? And shut down little bits and pieces and what have you. Of course, we got half the people saying, oh, it's terrible, you know, we're all going to die. And we got the other half saying, oh, it's not that bad and all that. Where are you on that? It's just, oh, God, it just goes on and on. Masks ready again, everyone? Masks ready? But is it as bad this time? Because there's a little story in The Sun. What's it called? Omicron. I seem to know that word. Omicron. Or maybe Omicron. It actually says Omicron, but I think I know the word Omicron, don't you? I'm sure someone said it was some sort of game or something like that. But in The Sun here, it says a doctor who treated patients with the Omicron variant says it causes unusual symptoms. Unusual symptoms. I mean, I haven't noticed any myself, but that's what apparently are the unusual symptoms of this one. Including intense fatigue and high heart rate. Now, I've definitely had intense fatigue a couple of times in the last year. Have you had that at all? But as for unusual symptoms, I wouldn't say I've had any of those at all. You know. It says Dr. Angelique Codzette. I'm trying to say that in foreign tongue. Foreign. Unusual symptoms. Unusual symptoms. Yes, Dr. Angelique Codzette, who runs a private clinic in Pretoria, which is in South Africa, of course, said it doesn't cause a loss of taste or smell like previous versions of COVID. So I'm afraid when your other half farts in that bed again, it's all gonna... Oh, get out! How awful. There's a lot to be said by getting into bed on your own. I'm telling you that now. She said their symptoms were so different and so mild from those I had treated before, she said. We had one very interesting case, a child of about 6 years old, with a temperature and a very high pulse rate, and I wondered if I should admit her. But when I followed up 2 days later, she was much better. Well, I get the same high pulse rate sometimes when certain people walk past me in grey tracksuit bottoms. Isn't that funny, boys? That's strange and mysterious. I've been pulsing, bang, 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 bang. But as for the unusual symptoms, I've got to say I haven't really noticed any of those at all. Have you? Anyway, if you have or you haven't, just put a little comment down there. If you find anything offensive on the show, as always, boys and girls, then just go somewhere else. It's not hard, is it? And there we are. Anyway, this Omicron strain is feared to be more transmittable and may be able to avoid vaccines. But I think I saw on the telly, it might have been that same lady that she's had no sort of hospital admissions from this new variant. So I don't know. But of course, you know, you're going to have to get those masks out again. Oh, don't be tight. Don't be tight and use that same dirty old paper mask you've had on all year long. Honestly, you're just dreadful. And don't drop them on the bloody floor. Dirty, disgusting people. Oh, no. Go on, force yourself, get a new one out of that box and stop nicking them at the hospitals and the doctors when you go there as well. I've seen you taking 5 or 6 masks while you're in there. Yes. Aldi's going to be the first, apparently. Again, in The Sun, mask wearing in supermarkets and shop is set to be compulsory again from Tuesday. Aldi's the first UK supermarket to respond, confirming that all its shoppers will have to wear a mask from them. Well, thank God for that. Have you smelt the breath of the people that shop in Aldi? Oh, God. What with that and the unusual symptoms? You know, it's all very worrying, dear. It's all coming to an abrupt end, this world. I very much doubt anyone here, the planet will be here in 2 days' time. It's gone. Bye. Yes. So it's going to be Aldi first, and expected that all the other supermarkets will follow suit once the government has published its more detailed guidance, which is due tomorrow. All right. So that's all I've got to say, really on that new variant. And here we go again. Let's hope nothing is shut down again. And talking of doctors, I can't believe it. You know, I've been using this new asthma inhaler. This thing, okay, which has now come to an end, as indicated from the red mark, from the red window there. That's like counts down from 120 down to 0, and then it goes red like that. So I've been using this, right? Okay, so it was coming to the end, and I ordered what I thought was another one of these, and completely the wrong thing came in the post. Completely the wrong thing. And of course, when I looked again on the screen, I realised I'd ordered the old one. Can you get the money back from that? No, they won't give you the money back. Comes through the post. Lloyd's, that's some Lloyd's Direct. Oh no, apparently, as that was the prescription issued, it's not their fault. You know, here we go. Start passing the buck again. Passing the buck. So anyway, I then went on and ordered what looked like the right thing. Okay? Funnily enough, the next day, the doctor rang. Hello, just wondered how you were getting on with your new inhaler. I said, brilliant. It's almost completely stopped me using the blue one. Okay, well, I'll write you some more. What ones was it you had? I said, I don't know. Have you got the record there? Oh, yeah, I think so. Okay, I'll send you another one and put you on repeat prescription. Thank you very much. All right, so that's done. So the new one arrived in this box. Okay. This box, okay? Of course, you can't really see what it is until you open the damn thing. So I opened it. Look. You know, now, sometimes you buy something and it's a completely different package, isn't it? But I read on the thing here. Now, obviously, I'm not a doctor. But the old one, it says 160 mcg /4.5 mcg, and this one says 200 mg and 6 mcg. So obviously this is a higher dose than this one. Now, to me, a normal person, 160 and 200 don't seem much different to me, as indeed does 4.5 or 6. There doesn't seem to be much difference in that to me. However, that being said, we are not doctors and we can't guess these things. So now, of course, I'm going to have the answer, because I wasted time saying I won't ring up Lloyd's, because obviously this is the one that the doctor has prescribed to me, yeah? So they've sent the right one. It's not their fault. Now, bet your bottom dollar I won't be able to get the money back for this either. Because, of course, oh, did you open the box? Yeah, of course I opened the box. Are you supposed to know what's in it till you open the bleeding box? But it's completely different, you see. So now I've got the hassle, I say tomorrow, later today now, of trying to get hold, I suppose, of the prescription department at the doctor's. And saying, look, you've sent me the wrong thing. I bet I can't get the money back from that, eh? That's 2 lots. That's 20 bastard quid, that is. 20 quid on 2 wrong medications there. Of course, you know, and I'm going to come away from having the medicines delivered now. You know, because, of course, if I'd have been at the chemist and they'd handed me this, I would have seen there and then. Wouldn't I? So, no, I don't want that. And then I wouldn't have taken it from them. Once it's come through the post, that's it. Bye-bye, honey. You know, you're stuck with it. I bet you I can't get the money back from that. 20 bastard quid on 2 lots of blooming wrong medication. Anyway, so that's my medical issues. Nearly my medical issues. Bad tooth. Yep, I've got to make an appointment with the tooth. This is getting no better. It's difficult to chew on that side without much pain. But I tell you, if I have some ice cream or something cold and it touches a spot there, oh my God, the pain. It's awful. It goes straight up your head. Terrible. So I've got to ring the dentist as well today. So busy, dear. Busy bee. And as I sit here recording this last night I've just got back from the cinema. And I went to see the picture that I told you about, Pirates, written by Reggie Yates. And I understood it like it was about a pirate radio station and these three young lads who are trying to get in a nightclub. It was all right. It wasn't quite what I expected it to be, I must admit. I expected to see sort of more of the pirate radio station. And perhaps them getting nicked a couple of times, you know, as happened in those days. There were two particularly very funny scenes in it. One where this boy was trying to chat this girl up, and another where they were in a shop trying to buy something to eat. And the woman behind the counter was making it really difficult for it. It was hilarious, those two bits. I can't find anything bad to say about it. It was a good film. I sat there and enjoyed it. I would say it would be quite niche. Again, it's kind of advertised as being about the garage music scene. Well, there was a bit of music in it. Not a lot. There wasn't an awful lot of music in it. So it wasn't quite what I expected. As I say, that being said, I can't find anything bad to say about it at all. I quite enjoyed it, sitting there. Marks out of 10. I'm afraid just 6 out of that one, just 6 out of 10. But it only cost me a tenner. And plus, on the way there, I got there too early. And you know what I'm like about cinema food? Ha-ha! Just round the corner is McDonald's. So I treated myself last night to a McDonald's before I went into the cinema. So there we are. And that was nice. Amount of people in the cinema... Let me show you, actually. I took a picture last night. I didn't load it onto the system. Look at this picture. And I also walked through Bracknell Town Centre last night, and they've got lights up. Anyway, is that bright? You can see. Look. Amount of people in the cinema, but that was about 10 minutes before it started. By the time it had started, 3. Me and 2 other people. And none of us were with it. No one was with it. We were all single people. One was right at the back, one was in the middle, and I was at the front. Never mind, dear. So that was that. And they've also now got the Christmas lights up in town, which I must show you. There we go. I did a little picture of me and the Christmas lights up in town. It's pretty, isn't it? That's town centre. As you can see, a very busy night in Bracknell. On the other hand, it was very cold. You know, we had a little bit of a flurry. It is on the ground at the moment, actually. We had a little bit of snow yesterday. Very, very cold. That doesn't stop me walking to and from town. It's about 45 minutes each way, so that was nice as well. So there we go. Pirates is the film that I went to see last night. All right. I've got a new organ thing. Yeah, this is the weirdest thing ever. Instead of going to my normal church where I've been going to last about 5 years now, Corpus Christi in Wokingham, yesterday it was about, I think it was the cold, because I like to cycle to church. And at the moment, the way I used to cycle, the road is closed for a long period of time because they're building blooming houses on these beautiful fields. And it just breaks my heart to see that. 2 great big fields that I used to cycle through either side, now going to be Legoland type houses, you know, the sort of thing. Brand new houses, postage stamp sized gardens probably. You know, small rooms, very well insulated. You know, nothing wrong with that. Nothing, not my cup of tea. And that, you know, they will all look the same, don't you? You know, I dare to say some people probably even have plastic hanging baskets outside. I mean, for God's sake, plastic hanging baskets, please. Don't ever invite me round to your house if you've got plastic flowers, dear. We can't be doing with that. Even worse, at the cemetery. Have you ever been to the cemetery and seen plastic flowers, dear? And the trouble is, no one ever changes them. Don't think you can't change plastic flowers, because eventually the sun bleaches them all white. Oh, it's horrendous. Don't bother. Get yourself a few little shrubs. You know, shrubs that tend to look after themselves. If you really can't be bothered to go down and look after your grave, last one. Ow, but they don't care, they're dead. Yes, they bloody well do. I'm being watched while I'm tending to my mother's and father's grave, thank you. When I go down there, yes. Anyway, where are we going with that plastic? Oh, yes, that's it. So that's where I've been going for the last 5 years. But this week I thought I'd go to my local church in Bracknell, St Joseph's, which is where I used to go. You may remember, if you've been with the show for a long time, I mean, more than 5 years. Most of you won't have been. There's a couple of you that have. You'll remember why I stopped going to that church, because they played this version of the Gloria. I mean, it was just horrendous. It was so drab and depressing. It was one of the most depressing tunes I've ever heard. I'm trying to recall the tune now. Do you know, I can't even remember the tune now. I'm pleased to say, actually. Anyway, so I went down there this week. And there was actually hardly anyone in there, as has been the case since COVID started. There was hardly anyone in the church. But it's the first time I've been there on a Sunday for about 5 years. So I went up to my usual seat and I thought, oh, perhaps someone probably sits here now. But there was hardly anyone in there, to be honest. And I noticed that there was a few members of the choir that I recognised from last time. I wasn't in the choir, you know, or anything. And there was one person that appeared to be sitting at the organ. I thought, okay, someone's going to have nice hymns. But no hymn books were out. The congregation are not singing there at the moment for probably, again, a COVID thing. It's been left up to the churches whether or not they have singing again. Some do and some don't, right? So I'm sitting there and the little bell rings. Ding, ding, ding. And I'm waiting for the organ. Oh, no, guitars. Oh, God, not guitars, please. Oh, don't get me wrong. Guitars are lovely, you know, when they sit there playing them. There's two wonderful people playing the guitar very well. It's just not my cup of tea. That's all it is. But I thought, okay, well, we're in church. Doesn't matter really whether it's guitars or an organ or nothing at all. Doesn't matter. You're in church to do your thing. So, priest came out and he's looking around and he saw me and he went like that because I haven't seen him for 5 years, and he remembered me, which is nice. And at the end, we went through the mass and it was all guitars and singing. And at the end, Father Danny, he comes down and makes a bit of a fuss of disabled people and elderly people. Once he's finished, go in peace, thanks be to God, he comes off the altar and then he stops at the front to various elderly disabled people to say hello to them and ask them how they are. It's nice. I don't ever see that seat done anywhere else. Okay. But then he came over to me. He said, how are you? He said, it's got to be 5 years. I said, it is. Anyway, we had this little bit of a conversation going on there. I said, how come you got no one doing the organ today? Do you now alternate it with guitars, which some people do? He said, no, unfortunately, John, who was the bloke who was there before, he's one of those people who don't want the vaccinations and therefore has kept away from everyone, and he's continuing to do so. He won't have the vaccinations, right? Oh, I said, well, what about the lady? There used to be an older lady who used to play there now and again. You know where this is going, don't you? Now and again. He said, well, no, she does Crowthorne now, which is another church sort of in this area, in the diocese. So she doesn't do it. I said, well, who plays it? He said, no one. We haven't had anyone play it for 2 years. Are you free? And I'm like, well, yeah, I can be. He said, oh, you've been sent. I said, well, no one sent me. He said, no, he sent you. And I said, okay, well, do you want me to go over and see the choir? Because they've got a little choir over there. So then I went over there and knocked out a couple of tunes. I explained to them, you know, I only play by ear. You can't stick a bit of music in front of me and I can play it. I'm not talented like that, I'm afraid. But I can get by. I can just about get by. This particular organ is not as grand, I would say, as the one at Wokingham. Nevertheless, it's a lovely instrument. The only thing is that it doesn't do transposing. If you're a musician, you'll know all about that. Transposing is where you can turn a switch on an organ and take it up or down. Sometimes just one, as is in the one in Wokingham, you can only take it up one. That's it. Don't go down. Don't go up any more than one. Up one. The one in Roehampton, you can go up or down 4. And that's, you know, click, 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 or click, 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 click. That's why we play everything in C. This one can't go up or down at all, which really does take me out of my comfort zone. But sometimes that's a good thing, you know. And I knocked out a couple of hymns for them, and they seem to be all right. I said, okay, well, who chooses the hymns? And it's been a lady who's looking after it, lovely lady called Sheila and her husband. She says, well, I am at the moment, but I'm very happy to hand it over to you. I got the impression they're a little bit perhaps overworked, or they want someone else to do now. Do you know what I mean? So I said, well, I'll come next week and see how it goes. You know, sometimes it doesn't always work. You have to fit in. You know what I mean? Sometimes you can't just go somewhere, and whether that's a job or perhaps a relationship or something like that. You know, you see these people on the telly. They may look good together, but that's about it. You know, look at the amount of blokes that Katie Price gets through. Lucky cow. Do you know what I mean? Hang on, let me have a bell of my tea. So I said I'd do it next week, and all well and good. And she gave me this list of hymns. Well, I tell you what, I couldn't do 3. It just so happens I didn't know 3 out of 4 of them. She said, well, that's okay, just change them. I said, is that okay? She said, it's up to you. She said, I'll hand it to you. I'll hand it over to you. I said, who usually chooses the hymns? She said, well, I've been doing it. She said, you're welcome to just take it from here, and that's it. I said, well, so we chose some for next week. Oh, Come Emmanuel, and what's that one? Christmas is coming, the birds are gonna sing, da 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 da. That one, and no, I can't remember the other couple. One I wasn't sure of, but I can learn that. I can learn that in a week. And there you go. So I've kind of switched churches now, playing the organ, from the one in Wokingham to the one in Bracknell, but it's just funny how that happened, isn't it? You know, I must admit I have been looking around for a church that has no one, because at Wokingham there's like 4 or 5 of us there, you know, which is why I only do one a month. That's not a problem, but it just seems a little bit mad when you've got all those people there that can. Some are better than others, you know. They all read music. I don't read music, you know. It's a bit mad to have so many people there doing it, and to go somewhere else and there's no one. And I have been looking for somewhere that has no one really, and blow me down is the one right on my doorstep, which is great. So there we are. That's from next Sunday. I'll be doing 10:30. They do stream that actually. St Joseph's in Bracknell. If you want to have a look at there, I think there's a permanent live camera on in there, so you could have a listen. I don't think you'd be able to see. I don't know if you can see the choir from the camera or not. I think you can, actually. I'm sure you can. But where I sit, there's kind of a pillar. Like a diagonal pillar coming down there, so you won't be able to see what I'm doing. Thank God for that. I'll start making faces at you. It'd be those strange symptoms of that new variant I told you about earlier, wasn't it? Okay, let's read some of your messages then, gang. Hello to hello, Diane. Evening, Diane, who says, so excited there's going to be a New Year's Eve karaoke. Yes, indeed. Really looking forward to that. It will be great. Your happy smile made me laugh. You always brighten my day. Great show as always. I think she's talking about Thursday's show there, Diane Jim. Yes, thanks so much for that, Diane. And I do hope to be streaming the New Year's Eve karaoke. There has been a little bit of a problem with the karaoke, which I'm going to resolve this week. I've not said anything and hoping that it kind of stops, but it hasn't. And basically, a couple of people who sing, what you don't realise is that some of them are also watching the YouTube stream on their mobile phones while they're sitting at tables, okay? And the chat box, you know where this is going now, don't you? The chat box is there for you to talk to and all this, that and the other. But people are a little bit severe when it comes to criticising singers. And indeed, someone this week actually criticised the venue. Okay, so I turned the chat box off, and that's it now. There's not going to be a chat box for you, I'm afraid, to chat amongst to. I mean, how can you be streaming from a venue that you know, and there's the people in there, and they say, I don't think I'll come back anymore, Chris, because people say horrible things in the chat box. Okay, so that's the reason. But you also mentioned the venue itself. Someone mentioned the venue itself. And they're paying me for you to write that. Or not you, you know a bit, but for someone to write that. Not going to happen anymore. So no more chat box on that either. at all now. Okay, sorry about that. Those of you that were sticking to the rules, and I know so many of you were, it's not possible for me to sit there just watching the chat while I'm doing it. I'm far too busy to see comments or anything like that. So we'll continue to stream it, just no chat box. If I may suggest, perhaps one or two of you would like to set up a little WhatsApp message group on your own backs, you know. But we can't have people sitting there in the venue singing, doesn't matter how bad they are, only to look at their phones and see that someone said that they're a crap singer. What do you think that does to them? Don't bother me. Don't bother me, but some people are affected by that. So no more chat box, I'm afraid, on the karaoke. That's gone now, all right? But you will be able to watch it live if you want to. No one's dragging you, kicking and streaming into the streaming. Hello to Mike in Brighton. Hello, Mike, who says, another fantastic show on Thursday. Thank you, Mike. He says, I remember the show 1999 to 2000 New Year's Eve, which indeed is also what that film was about, Pirates, which I went to see. Do you remember we were all dreading the Millennium Y2K bug? I remember that. We thought everything would stop, planes would fall out of the sky. I remember that New Year's Eve night so well. I was strutting my stuff behind the bar at Club Revenge. We all got an extra £150 plus the standard, hang on a minute, read more, plus the standard pay for that night. The night was the quietest night I remember, as the club was charging stupidly high door charges, as most venue did. Everybody stayed at home, which is exactly what happened to us. I was supposed to be doing the Two Brewers. That's where I was that night, 1999 to 2000. My boyfriend at the time was with me. Lee, his name was. He was with us. And, my God, this is 21 years ago, isn't it? I can't believe it. And there we were, you know, time was ticking away, 9, 10, where's all the people? Because they sold barely any advance tickets. Well, I'm not surprised. They were 45 bloody quid. 45 quid to walk in the door. No one bought them. Not only that, no one came on the night either. And we were literally sitting there playing to half a dozen of people. It was two bars, you see. There's the cabaret bar with the show and the dance bar on the other side. Well, I suppose I had a maximum of 20 people in there instead of 300. It was awful, awful. Serves them right. That's all I can say. Serves them right. The trouble is, Mike, the years after that, it seemed to affect those as well. Because after that particular bad New Year's Eve were never the same after that. You could always... You was in the Black Cap New Year's Eve. I know you were. In the 80s, weren't you? Those nights, oh my God. And every single New Year's Eve I did, right up to 1999 almost, was fantastic. It was fantastic. I was always working, and it was DJing. I wasn't doing karaoke at that point. I was DJing, and they were all fantastic. And then 1999 come, it was a terrible year, and then the ones after that were just a little bit, is this it then? It was a bit like that. Whereas before, it was all exciting, and just everything went off. And it hasn't been the same since. Funny. Mike says, I used to love pirate radio, especially in the 80s. Dublin City had Europe's biggest radio stations called Radio Nova, 88 FM and Sunshine 101. They were both illegal and were jammed and raided numerous times. Yes, they take that equipment away. He said, as for the aerials on the roof, I was big into CB radio in the 1980s. I have no idea how I never fell off the roof when mounting my Shakespeare Super Stick, the best CB aerial. Happy days. I had was it a GP half wave or something like that? I can't remember what it was. Actually, I don't know if you know, Mike, whether I told you or not. My mate, Ronnie, bought me a CB radio some years ago. And I thought I'd get back into it. And I bought this big aerial and I couldn't put it up myself. So I got an aerial bloke to come around and he put two brackets on the wall and up it went, in the space of a few moments. Big, thick coax cable coming in. And I plugged it in and off I went. But there was no one there. Hardly anyone there. I remember in the 80s going up and down, channel chopping up and down, you know, looking for a space really, and you couldn't find one. There were so many people on there. Now you struggle to find anyone, and when you do, it's difficult to get into the conversation. It's a bit clicky. You know what I mean? So in the end, I kind of gave up and I took the aerial down and put the CB back in the box. Shame, really. And Mike also said, delighted you got your Walker's Cheese and Onion Crisps without having to go to a Walker's Cheese and Onion Crisp dealer. Yes, they do seem to be out a bit more now. I may have had a couple of bags this weekend. I tell you what, I had a bag. I tell you what, I did have last night on the way back home. I stopped. Was it last night? No, I beg your pardon. On Saturday night, I stopped in the BP garage in Egham, and I purchased these. Have you had these? These have gone up £2.20 for 9 biscuits. £2.20, and they're delicious. This is how delicious they are. Look, none bleeding left. All that £2.20 for 9 biscuits. I'm off my head. You get a lot more in Aldi. Thank you, Mike. And Rosemary Dixon's there. Hello, Rosemary. Nice. Thanks for leaving a message. She says, I haven't heard the new Barry Manilow song. Looking forward to his new CD. Yes, I played that on my radio show on Thursday or Friday. Now, what was it called now? Do you know, I can't even remember what it's called now. Oh, will I be able to see? Does Spotify have a history? Hang on, let's have a look. Is it that one? There it is. Dancing in the Aisles, it's called. And there's no G. DANCIN apostrophe in the Aisles. AISLES. Oh, it's good, Rosemary. Search that one out on your Spotify, or maybe on your on your YouTube or something like that. All right. Any comments, as always, stick them underneath there, my darlings, or you can send an email, chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Enjoy your Monday. See you again soon. Bye bye.